the wedding capital of the Philippines. In the center of the walled city, Intramuros, the San Agustin Church boasts to be one of the biggest hotspots for Filipino weddings. Surrounded by cobblestone streets, Spanish colonial-style buildings, and monumental locations such as Fort Santiago and the Manila Cathedral, the San Agustin Church sits within the heart of Philippine history.
This church is called Iglesia de San Pablo de Manila, popularly known as San Agustin Church, and after the Second World War, this church became the seat of the parish of the Immaculate Conception.
Celebrating over 440 years since its establishment, the San Agustin Church was built by the Augustinian friars from Mexico.
The Augustinian fathers from the Order of St. Augustine arrived here in 1571. And more than 1 month later, June 24, 1571, the city of Manila was founded.
The church was given to the Augustinians by the first Governor-General in the Philippines, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. In 1898, the Spaniards and Americans signed the terms of the surrender of the city of Manila to the Americans in the sacristy of the church. However, this would not be the last time that San Agustin Church would be a scene during battle. In 1945, during the Battle of Manila, Japanese soldiers held hundreds of Filipino residents hostage within the walls of the church. After World War II, San Agustin Church was the only church standing of the 5 churches that were targets for bombing in Manila. Part of the church is the Augustinian Monastery, where some portion has been converted into a museum that is now home for many art pieces and historical artifacts. Part of the museum is the original ossuary of prominent personalities in the country. The museum is open to the public. One of the oldest stone churches in the Philippines, this Mexican-inspired design was by Juan Macias, Spanish soldier turned architect. Though the church's elliptical design has allowed for it to withstand many earthquakes that other churches could not, earthquakes still managed to destroy one of the 2 bell towers in the original design, leaving just a single bell tower in its current structure. Upon arriving to the church, one is greeted by large wooden doors, intricately carved with floras and the symbols of the Augustinians.
Augustinian symbols that we are using, commonly used is the heart, the flaming heart of St. Augustine, the restless heart of St. Augustine when he said, "My heart is restless until it rests in you," referring to the Lord. No? And also the book, the Bible, which was instrumental for his conversion, when there was an angel that says, "Take and read, tolle lege, tolle lege." So he took that book, it is the Bible, and read it. That was the turning point of his life. No? So St. Augustine is also a bishop. So in the symbolism of the Augustinian order, there's also the mitre and the pastoral staff.
Below the Augustinian symbols is the image of Saint Augustine himself, the patron saint of the Augustinians. Next to him is the image of his mother, Santa Monica, who played a large role as an intercessor for the conversion of her son. Upstairs, in the oratorio, now the choir loft, tall seated stalls of Malave wood line the walls where the Augustinians used to say their daily prayers. Along the side of the wall is also an 18th century pipe organ, a rarity in Philippine churches.
We still have the ceiling, the 3-dimensional paintings that would develop optical illusion, and the chandeliers before of the 18th century, which before these were made of candles. So the sacristan has to light the candles early to be able to finish on time for the Mass. No? And then in the main altar, you can see the image of Saint Paul, who is the titular of this church. This church is famous for weddings. and we call it the wedding capital of the Philippines. We have more or less 500, average of 500 weddings a year, and maybe 10 years ago we have more than 1,000 in 1 year.
With many churches that have been restored, brides-to-be are given an even bigger selection of churches where they can have their wedding ceremonies. However, San Agustin continues to boast large numbers of wedding ceremonies per year.
The devotion to the Our Lady of Consolation in Korea has been here since the time immemorial. The story of the Our Lady of Consolation is a history, a long tradition in the Augustinian order. It says that when Monica was praying for the conversion of St. Augustine, it was the Blessed Virgin Mary who gave her the cincture as a sign of her consolation. So Monica, at the time, very sorrowful because St. Augustine was wandering away. So when Monica's prayer was heard, and Augustine was converted to Christianity and baptized, and when he went home to Africa, he established a community. So he also used that cincture that we were now as a sign of our devotion. So every Saturday, the devotion of Our Lady of Consolation in Korea is celebrated, and on the 4th Sunday of the month, we have procession after the Mass around the cloister, and before the Mass, we have the blessing of the OFW families.
Aside from reaching out to the OFW families, the Church helps its parishioners and those living within its jurisdiction in Intramuros, Port Area, and Baseco.
Since most of our parishioners are poor, so we have apostolate in terms of health care and education. With regards to health care, we have a health clinic in Baseco where we give medicines to poor parishioners. Medicines are coming from the Archdiocese and the Caritas Manila. With regards to the education, we have scholars from elementary, high school, and college. Also from our benefactors and from the Pondo ng Pinoy. And we have also 3 preschool in Baseco with more than 300 children, and these are free education for the poorest of the poor. So I inviting all of you, especially the pilgrims and especially the OFW families, to visit San Agustin Church, especially during this Lenten season, and also throughout the year during 4th Sundays for our Mass, praying for the OFWs, and after that, blessing for the families. Thank you.